Wild card weekend is here, and we're already off to an interesting start after 2 Saturday games. But today we got 3 games here, a full NFL main slate. Well, not really a full one, but a big enough one today. That's what she said. We're going to do what we always do here. We're going to look at projections, ownership, and sims, along with the optimal lineups to find the must-plays here. Really our final takes heading into this 3-game slate. Some fun games today, maybe some not-so-fun games we will find out here. Let's get into it. Shouts to the chat. Appreciate everybody being here bright and early. Poker MJ pumped up here. Time to make the donuts. That's how I feel today. I am like, once you're out of the regular season, the Sunday show feels a little bit unnecessary. That's how I feel about today. We're going to try and do it, though. We're going to see what the views are. Maybe we'll keep it going throughout the playoffs here. Sundays at 9 a.m. Nothing else. Splash Play marches on Monday to Friday. 11 a.m. NBA channel, Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. going on here every day. So please go check one of those out if you can. Your top projected players, let's go here. Let's highlight just the main slate. We still got some Saturday boys in our projections. Josh Allen, number 1, 25.04 fantasy points. So taking a bit of a leap up here in the projections for Stochastic compared to where we were on Friday, whereas basically Josh Allen, Jayden Daniels, 1A, 1B, barely separated in projection. Now I have a little bit of a gap here, about 1.8 fantasy points favoring Josh Allen today at that $8,200 salary. The good news for that is that Josh Allen, people probably play him a good amount like they did play Lamar yesterday. Highest upside, QB on the slate for sure. Probably the highest floor. Well, that might not be fair for Josh Allen, but certainly enough of the floor in a playoff game. Expect him to pass a little bit more. Expect him to certainly run more in a do or die spot than he has in points this year, with the rushing volume kind of decreased a little bit this year. But Josh Allen, really no issue with him. The main part to me is that the stack partners, always think of Buffalo, they're a little bit hard to hit. You have a pretty high likelihood if he throws for 3-4 touchdowns, one of them goes to Shakir, one of them goes to Cooper, one of them goes to one of the tight ends. Kincaid, of course, back in now, full go, able to do things that maybe should be a little bit better than did during regular season. Who knows? Dawson Knox still in there. Like, you have enough receivers. Curtis Samuel showed well enough. I don't think he's meaningfully in the mix, but if they wanted to give him some snaps after he played pretty well in week 18, they could do that too. There's a lot of Bills receivers to go to. None of them are that good. So that's sort of my main issue with Allen. But really, besides that, decent play, obviously, high price tag, and going to be well played today would be my guess. We see the ownership in a moment. Jayden Daniels at number 2. We know my priors here. We know our pal Dave bought me with his best ball winnings. Like a little sugar baby I am, bought me my Jayden Daniels jersey. My sweet boy, I think, looks good today. As I've mentioned, I do think pretty good shot that the Commanders win this one. It's only a 3-point spread. Line hasn't moved at all over the weekend. So the industry, certainly, or at least the betting markets, feel like the Bucs are going to win that game. I think it's still going to be a close shot. I think there's a decent chance here, much like Ladd McConkey yesterday. Somebody from that Commander side is probably a must-have in your playoff best ball, or just has an outlier day that you need in your DFS tournaments today. Jayden Daniels being that guy, certainly likely to me. McLaurin being that guy, decently likely. Zach Ertz being that guy, a little bit lower probability for me, but still certainly high enough with how he played down the home stretch. No contract bonuses, I think, on the line for Zach Ertz, though, so maybe he won't be quite as good as he was the last few weeks. But for Jayden, to me, he's the QB play of the day. Obviously, you can go a bunch of different ways. You have your Darnold, you have your Hurts, you have your Baker. It's a loaded QB slate. But I'll take the upside on Jayden here for a good amount of my lineups tonight, and that's just the way it's going to go. Do the mini max today, actually. I'm doing one of the 20 maxes, putting one in the Millie Maker because it's fucking $25 entry for the Millie Maker. Not feeling putting in a bunch of entries there this week. And I'm doing a mini max. I can get in 150 lineups and try to get a bunch of different looks in. It's always stressful, I feel like, picking 100, well, like almost 200 lineups in a given day because, like, there's just so many. There's just too many lineups to be made here. But you're so many QB plays, playing just a 20 max this week, or even a couple 20 maxes, just didn't feel like enough volume to get down this week. Puka Nacua at number 3, $7,600 salary, 22.9 projection for him. That's for Monday's game. Why do they do this to me? This is not the main slate. The same thing that happened on Friday. I'm going to take out the fucking Rams. All right, we got Green Bay in the slate, Philadelphia, Washington, Tampa Bay, Denver, Buffalo. There we go. God forbid they would separate these things equally. Attach myself to Jayden Daniels, 100 rushing bonus and maybe 300-yard passing bonus in the spot all day. Like, he hasn't hit 300 very often. I'd certainly hope so. And can't wait for the big board. Sure. Same here. I mean, we've got a lot of prep to do left. So frankly, I'd prefer they hold off a few more weeks so we get through all the rookie previews. We got Bucky Irving here at number 3, 21.1 fantasy points, man, the thumbnail. I think much like yesterday, and it's something too that I don't know if I said explicitly enough on the Friday video, which is on me, but it was something I definitely realized when I was making lineups yesterday. Really had a hard time moving away from Joe Mixon and Derrick Henry in lineups yesterday. It was like, this is so chalky. Tried a few Justice Hill lineups, tried a few J.K. Dobbins lineups. They were all awful. Basically, it was just like Mixon and Henry, their volume, their roles in the offenses, Mixon certainly got there later than you would like to see. But overall, those guys seemed like must plays in yesterday's slate because the RB situation, everybody else is just so bad. Same thing for this slate to a lesser extent. Bucky Irving, I think, is kind of a must-have here at 7K. They've been ramping down Rachaad White's usage. Even the routes run was higher for Bucky Irving, which is not normally the case because Rachaad White, they've trusted more as a pass protector back there. Now they're trusting Bucky in that. Now they're trusting Bucky to do more. They're giving all the volume of touches to Bucky. It's hard to believe that would flip in the playoffs, and he's been playing these kind of high-leverage spots already. The Bucs had to win last week to make the playoffs. They went to Bucky a ton. Bucs had to win a week before that. They went to Bucky a ton. I think it's the same case here versus Washington. Washington's run defense, maybe not quite as soft as a pass defense, but still giving up negative -0.01 EPA per rush, which is one of the worst run defenses on the slate. So for me, for Washington overall, big fan of what they're going to be doing, giving up a lot of production to Bucky Irving. I think it's going to be a game script. I think it's going to be very likely to be a shootout here. But Bucky, I have a hard time fading. And I think, too, the other part of it, which got a little bit weird down the home stretch of games, Baker was playing for a lot of incentives that were kind of centered around touchdowns, passing efficiency, all that. I think he ended up getting his $2.5 million bonus or whatever. But that was part of why Bucky's kind of red zone work went down a little bit. They give him one red zone try, kind of walk away from it, start passing a little bit more in the red zone. They get back to normal a little bit more here because it really seemed like they were playing for Baker incentives more than they probably should have with some of the red zone play calling the last few weeks. Saquon Barkley, projected lower than Bucky Irving, but it is a tougher matchup going against Green Bay. Green Bay, as I've mentioned, fantasy points data has Green Bay stuffing around about 50% of snaps. A little bit different than the SIS data I have, where Green Bay is a little bit lower in terms of that metric. But really, I think it's overall, fantasy points data must count differently than SIS does, what a stuff run would be. But I would have Green Bay as a 22% stuff run rate, which would be one of the better marks in the league. They don't miss tackles very often, only 14% there. And they force tackles for loss is 16% more than in general. So like basically one of the higher marks in the league for that as well. The big thing with Saquon, as I mentioned on Friday's video, is like his success is, obviously Saquon's been great, blah, 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 suck him off as much as you want. The big thing that's been a part of success, though, is that Eagles getting a lot of push up front and generating like about over 3 yards before contact per attempt. One of the best marks in the league. I mean, frankly, the best mark for any guy is a back with volume. He's been getting that regularly. Now, if you face a Green Bay team that's in the backfield more often, that stuffs to run more often, you would expect Saquon to be a little bit less efficient here. Obviously, with Jalen Hurts being banged up, the concussion, him being back out there will also make it easier to get the ball to Saquon because the pass game is now going to be treated as a real threat. Certainly, the QB run's also a real threat as well that pulls some attention away from Saquon. That hasn't necessarily been the case in recent weeks with Jalen Hurts being banged up. But in the spot, I would say that for Saquon, I worry about the matchup. And I know I'm down on Saquon, whatever. I'm the negative Nelly about Saquon that you guys all just want to cram him in and play him. But I do think there's a shot here. He kind of leaves you holding the bag. I don't view him as a Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon. I think he's going to be played a lot. I think you might be able to move away from him at that price tag of $8,500. If you want to play Josh Allen, you're probably going to have a hard time playing Saquon Barkley with him. Saquon, good play on the slate, good projection. Matchup-wise, I do have some concerns. Shout out to the Snowman here. Would not be able to live without your rookie deep dives. Won't touch a big board till you do them. Thank you for that. That's a very nice chat. Thank you to the Snowman. I appreciate it. Of course, thank you guys for watching too. I know after the regular season ends, sometimes the interest kind of wanes a little bit for people, but I'm still here doing DFS slates. As long as there's tournaments out there with money, Splash Play continues on. And that's frankly the NFL. There's always tournaments now with money going on. So have no fear. We'll keep being here. But I appreciate you guys tuning in Sunday here of Wildcard Weekend. Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, not too far behind him, about 0.6 fantasy points lower in terms of their projection. Jalen Hurts, you want to get the direct leverage on Saquon. That's certainly one way to do it. A similar upside to your Jayden Daniels, your Josh Allen's, but a little bit cheaper. Jalen Hurts, too, coming off the concussion, probably gets played a little bit less. Barely practiced throughout that run there through the concussion protocol, then got a limited practice in, then got a full practice in, I believe on Thursday, cleared the protocol finally. For Jalen Hurts, though, that's the rushing upside's there. The direct pull back from Saquon Barkley is there. The fact that they're getting stuffed on runs potentially more than average for Green Bay, more tush pushes perhaps in play, because one of the reasons they don't love running by the goal line, which the Eagles have said this year, is that they don't like losing yards by the goal line, and that's why they run a tush push, because you don't, even if you fail, you're not really losing yards. For Saquon, he gets stopped in the backfield. If he's getting stopped in the backfield repeatedly, I think they might change things a little bit. So for Jalen Hurts, I would say that he's a pretty good upside play in terms of just the leverage you're getting. But really, just also he's Jalen Hurts, and he can make one of those historical playoff runs like he has in the past. Baker Mayfield, not too far behind there, about 0.02 fantasy points, so really just no gap between him and Jalen Hurts. As a result, I would think Baker gets played more too. I think you're going to get Allen played a good amount. People want to play Allen. I think Jayden Daniels, people like him enough now at this point. They'll want to play him. Baker Mayfield, that salary and the projection being close, they'll play him a good amount. I wonder if Jalen Hurts gets squeezed by all that ownership going to similar guys at price tags, Baker being cheaper with a slightly better value metric. That'd be one of my guesses that we're going to see in a moment. Your top values right now. You got Jayden Daniels, number 1 value, Josh Allen, number 2, Bucky, number 3. So the chalk is chalking right now. These guys are being very popular with the high projection and value metrics that work well with their salaries. They're all, frankly, probably a little bit too cheap for the slate, with all these guys being over a 3x value based on their salaries. Bucky Irving right here, Baker Mayfield not too far behind, Bo Nix, your real value QB at 6,300, but frankly, could be cheaper on the slate given that Denver team total, which is under 20. Yeah, they have 19.8 implied points for Denver still, going against Buffalo's 28.3 implied points. As I mentioned, I think there's like maybe I don't know, 5% chance, probably higher than that based on the money line. Like a 5% chance I would view it practically of like Denver winning that game today versus Buffalo. So Bo Nix certainly be the way they would do that. Probably passing a good amount. I think this could be a Marvin Mims game. Certainly with Bo Nix, I'd be fine. Without Bo Nix, I would also be fine. They're probably playing from behind the spot, you would think. Tough defense. They could certainly have a shot of shutting down Buffalo. Bo Nix, the case to be made for him would just be he's going to be dropping back a lot. And it's a game where he's basically 9-point dog, 9.5-point dog. No, wait. 8.5 point dog right now. Let's see. Not a big fan, or not big on this all-encompassing rookie playoff narrative. People keep saying that Jayden and Bo won't do well. I mean, like, the reason that these guys won't do well, especially Bo, is that he is an 8.5 point dog. Like, that's the thing. Like, same thing for the Pittsburgh game yesterday. Like, there are people that legit believe that, Lamar never beats the Steelers and Mike Tomlin wins all the playoff games, so the Steelers are going to win. And, like, people legit thought that. It's not how the playoffs work. That's not how anything works. It's still a spread-based game. So, like, for Denver, yeah, like, Bo Nix, I expect him to fall on his face a little bit here because the total here is not very good. For Jayden, it's a 3-point spread. Like, that's a winnable game. Obviously, you're on the road in Tampa Bay as well. So, look, I've said it. I will continue to die on this hill. I think Jayden wins today. Somebody in the chats, or somebody in the comments rather, like on Friday's video, was like, when the Bucks win, I hope you'll give them their flowers. And it's like, first of all, I've given the Bucks a lot of flowers this year. Second of all, if they beat a rookie QB at home as a higher seed, like, I don't know, who gets a team that played in a tougher division and I don't think it's that big of a deal. I feel about that. That's the expectation. But I think if Jayden wins and you hopefully get a better payout on it, that'd be my thought. Anyway, the point is really no good cheap values here. Your best cheap guy, Dalton Kincaid at 4K. Zach Ertz at 4,300. Both guys, your tight end plays that I feel pretty good about. I'd certainly prefer Ertz, but Kincaid has been a tight end who is playable and was certainly much higher priced at one point. It really isn't great values overall, though. So we'll see what we get in the Sims and the Optimizer. Right now, though, your best values are the pay-up options that just look pretty good. In terms of ownership, let's go over there now. And guys, if you want data like this for yourself, make sure to check the link in the description down below. Stochastic, 15% off. It's the best deal they have. They don't run as many deals as like a lot of other sites do because they run them based on holidays, stuff like the football season ending, people winning $1 million, whatever. But really, even those deals they have, like they're off 1 month. This one is 15% off all your months. So it's a really good deal. And I also get paid half the money that you give to Stochastic. So really good win-win situation for both of us. Please check it out. Stochastic, link in the description down below, or use the promo code SPLASH. And also check out the other sponsors too. We got unabated $30 off with promo code SPLASH. Their NBA betting data, of course, the big one that I push every day on the Splash League NBA channel. And Underdog, if for some reason you're watching for DFS, you're not playing best ball yet, we're going to be hopping into the best ball streets very soon with the big board coming out, their pre-NFL draft tournament. So check that out. $1,000 of bonus cash on Underdog, and you guys know the deal. But please support the sponsors. They go a long way here. And join down below. We had like 3 people join from Friday's video, which never happens. Shout out to those 3 people. But join down below as well if you can. $4.99 a month. VIP Discord, blah, blah, blah. Bucky Irving, great sales pitch. Bucky Irving, number 1 owned guy here, 63% ownership going his way. Whenever he's that highly owned, and look, it was the same thing for me with yesterday with Derrick Henry. If there's a way to get leverage against him, you try it a little bit. If you wanted to play a little bit of Rachaad White, I would get it. Again, I'll give you the caveat, the warning that they definitely have ramped down Rachaad White's usage. The fact that he was getting less routes than Bucky last week, like that's a fall from grace. Of all fall for grace is the volume. Him not getting any touches in a game, that's one thing. But like getting even the underlying work getting significantly worse and barely playing. He played like 11 routes in that game. It's not where you want, Rachaad White to be. So Bucky Irving, if he gets hurt here, would certainly be one way that chalk busts. If he doesn't get touchdowns, it can be a little bit tougher. But that's basically where Bucky Irving right now. It's hard to imagine him failing unless he gets hurt, I think. Or the game really gets out of hand and they just go, okay, we have to keep Rachaad White in to pass protect because we're dropping back every single play. That's maybe where you get Bucky Irving out. But so I guess if you're playing Rachaad White, maybe you're playing it with like, Washington, one of the Washington running backs, like say Brian Robinson, maybe McLaurin and Ertz, I think is one way to play Rachaad White. We were just playing Washington, got up a bunch, and then Baker did kind of the bullshit he did versus the Chiefs is probably the best example with Rachaad White, where he at that point he was kind of losing work to Bucky Irving as well, and then Bucky had gotten banged up, and then it kind of shifted the roles back. But Rachaad White got there in garbage time as like the Bucs were playing from behind that game. Rachaad White getting some check downs, some bullshit kind of touchdowns in the pass game. I think that's where you could get away from Bucky Irving and play White and get that direct leverage, but I don't think there's a lot of spots where it would work out that well. Saquon Barkley, number 2, 41% ownership. So a little bit more expensive, honestly, a lot more expensive at $1,500 more than Bucky Irving, but a similar projection. People like Saquon, the casuals will play him. I think that 41% ownership feels about right. Could get to 50, I guess, based on, again, the casuals do love him, and they are a favorite going against Green Bay. But I really, as I mentioned, the underlying metrics will give me some concern. Of course, I am the Saquon naysayer, so keep that in mind here accordingly. Like Eckler, I would worry a little bit about Eckler. Basically, like they obviously ramped down the Commanders last week a little bit. They pulled Jayden in the second half and all that. Eckler got more work when they started to pull Brian Robinson out. So I wonder if the time away maybe made them not want to use him quite as much. But still, certainly, I have no issue playing Eckler a little bit as a tournament play. In the screen game, like they've kind of been missing his element that he brought there. A lot of yards after catch stuff that Brian Robinson just doesn't do. But I worry a little bit that he kind of lost some opportunity to Brian Robinson from being gone, or that they could even give them the same workload. Like, his concussion was not a good one, and it's also like I don't even know what number it is, but the umpteenth concussion he's had in his career, so there's a shot that kind of keep him a little bit lower down usage-wise just because they don't want him to get too fucked up. Favorite bets today, I have in my fantasy points column. One of them already hit. Oh, let me see if I can just recite them. And look, we're looking at the ownership. Khalil Shakir at number 3, 34%. Let me see if I can pull up my wild card column. Not sure if they always bury my shit in the fantasy points homepage, which is okay. I get it. I'm not like a priority content creator for them or anything. They pay me. They can put my shit wherever they want. It's always hard to find my article. I forget who I had placed already this week. Okay. Quentin Johnston over 40.5 receiving yards. That was also because of their prop finder and projections. That didn't hit. Nico Collins anytime TD. That hit yesterday. Bucky Irving over 20.5 receiving yards. That one's minus 115. It was one of my favorite bets in the week. Jayden Daniels, I took 300 plus passing yards at plus 475. That's actually on DraftKings. DraftKings, some of these alternate lines for DraftKings are the softest. I took Josh Jacobs over 70.5 rushing yards. That's minus 110. And I took a Jordan Addison anytime TD at plus 155 were my bets I took this week for the fantasy points column. So those would be my favorites recorded, but, follow your hearts. Okay. I'm a homer. Can't fade my guy, but I get your argument. Appreciate it. Here we go. Look, I am the Saquon non-apologist, if anything else. Shakir, though, decent ownership for him. You have Amari Cooper back in. Back injury / personal. That's why he missed practices. You can certainly move away from Shakir. Do you think the matchup benefits a little bit more of Keon Coleman? A lot of zone played by Denver's defense, 34%. A lot of man played by Denver's defense, 34% man defense rate. That's one that matters. Keon Coleman's shockingly good versus man, awful versus zone. He gets targeted 28% of the time he's running a route versus man, 2.4 yards per out run, compared to 14% target per out run versus zone. So Keon Coleman getting that one-off touchdown here, I don't hate. Another betting play you could probably make at decent plus money. And you want to get leverage on Shakir. I think Keon Coleman's maybe one way to do it. But Shakir in a playoff spot probably gets enough PPR targets, like scamming his way there. So Shakir, I have no issue with the 34% either. Mike Evans gets Marshawn Lattimore here. Gets a man-dominant Washington team. Evans has been great versus man and zone this year. The Lattimore thing probably keeps Evans' ownership and control more than they should. Still would say that for Mike Evans, 7,900, pretty big price tag. If you're paying for Saquon and Evans, you're kind of eating up a lot of salary with whatever else you're going to put along inside besides that. But for Evans here, if you don't play him, you're playing more McMillan, you're playing more Otten. There's got to be passing production here. Washington's defense, despite the fact people think they're a little bit better than they are, they're to me kind of like Denver was last year, where they beat up some shittier teams, had some good results. They've got a little bit lucky in a few spots. People think they're good. And it's like, no, the part you saw in the beginning of the year is still there. They can get really beaten up on downfield in particular. So no issue with Evans at all, really, besides that high price tag. And the fact you do have Tampa Bay guys you can go to with Otten back in, Jalen McMillan running hot, Bucky expected to score more touchdowns here. Certainly ways that Evans fails. There are 3.5 targets on Keon. It's a little bit tough because Amari Cooper and the workload he takes away, I feel like spooks you a little bit on volume-based stats. But Keon still played 46 snaps per game this year, 24 routes. I'm not like a big targets better. I'd prefer to bet receptions or, I mean, obviously anytime TDs. I'd personally probably take a Keon Coleman anytime TD over any sort of volume-based metric. But you could take, I mean, targets 3.5 can hit it. 3.5 receptions might be a little bit tougher, but yeah, I can live with that. AJ Brown, but again, I would take the anytime touchdown because I assume the payout's better. AJ Brown, 32% ownership for him. Devontae Smith, basically the last few weeks, been taking enough work away from AJ Brown. They look a lot more like a 1A and 1B again, as opposed to before last year when AJ Brown does a little diva shit and he became the number 1 receiver and Devontae really shifted down to number 2. Now they're back to a pretty even split. The targets are even now. Devontae Smith actually gets targeted more in the red zone than AJ Brown. So no issue with AJ Brown, but I think he and Devontae Smith should basically be the same ownership. And I guess they are 30% for Devontae, but he's cheaper, $5,700 for Devontae compared to $7,500 for AJ Brown. Josh Jacobs, 31%. Zach Ertz at 30%, so he'll be higher owned, it looks like, than Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid not too far behind, though, at 28% ownership. I think he's going to project really well. I think the DFS players who are using Sims and stuff, and of course, projection data are going to get Dalton Kincaid a lot more. But I think for me, I think the casuals are probably not going to play much Kincaid today. I think they're probably not huge on him. Thanks for grinding, Spags. Hey, I'm here. I'm grinding away. This is me grinding my lower half. And this is how it would look like if I were going cowgirl style, I guess. Torn on Coleman versus Wicks. That's a tough one. They both have their merits. I don't know that Coleman has the highest DFS upside for a tournament. Wicks, at least, like, you're getting all those Watson routes most likely. But you're also probably getting a little more 2 tight end for that game too. So I don't know. Projection-wise, what would the pick be? Probably Wicks would be my guess. Wicks stochastic has for 9.1. Keon they have for 7.1. So pretty big gap there favoring. I mean, for a GPP, it wouldn't matter, but like I would say in terms of like, you know, a kind of cashy median projection approach, does seem like you're getting a little bit more there on Wicks. Anybody else to note here? Your low owned guys, I'll just pull up the screen. You guys can see it all. Keon Coleman under 10%. A little bit of reason to like him. Brian Robinson at 11%. He can punch in a touchdown for sure and make a winning lineup. Cade Otton, get leverage against Mike Evans. He's about 13% owned. Amari Cooper's not been very good. I was very great or very good in Buffalo, but 7% ownership for him. That is certainly enough to get there if he does get some leverage against Khalil Shakir. Devon Vele, 6%. Troy Franklin, 6%. Yikes. Rashad White at 5%. If you get leverage on Bucky somehow, not the expectation there. You really do need Bucky to get hurt or something to get weird in that game. Rashad White at 5% is worth a shot. Luke McCaffrey, no. Nothing that valuable down here. Ben Sinnott, of course, the people's Zach Ertz. He's probably not going to do enough today. You're not a lot to love down here. Not a lot to love down here. All right, let's go to the solver next. Let's get some optimized lineups here using ETR data. Grind so much I found him on Grind. Thank you. Thank you for that. I've proven my heterosexuality by having a child. I'll tell you what. There's never been a gay man who's had a child. I don't think that's possible. He says sarcastically. I know it's a joke, guys. All right. 25% or 25 lineups here. No variance on it. Let's see what the cash game lineups would be right now. I use an ETR data. All right, we got Josh Allen, number 1. Jaleel McLaughlin, Bucky Irving, Khalil Shakir, Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan, Dalton Kincaid, Zach Ertz, Bucks. Gotta say, not necessarily what I expected the cash game lineup to be. But that's your highest projected one. This one, the same, 130.4 as well. For Josh Allen, McLaughlin again, Bucky Irving, Khalil Shakir, Devontae Smith, Mike Evans, Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, Bucks D. So look, I get the Josh Allen thing in cash. I think that makes sense. McLaughlin, I'm surprised to see, but I do believe he's the lead back for Denver now. Pulled ahead snap-wise ahead of Audric Estime. Well, he's been ahead of Estime. Pulled ahead of Javonte, though. Played 10 more snaps than Javonte in Week 18, which was a game they needed. So I think for McLaughlin now, looking pretty much okay. Denver RB in cash. The thing is he's too cheap for being probably a lead back, but they certainly could move away, go to Javonte. If they wanted to. Estime did get a touchdown last week. I expect him to still be the goal line back between the 20s. You're probably getting more McLaughlin. Definitely the pass game, you're getting more McLaughlin. I don't hate him as a play here, but I'm surprised to see him be like an ETR cash game guy. Maybe the second lineup here, that's side. Allen, McLaughlin, Bucky, Shakir, Devontae, Smith, Mike Evans, Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, Bucks. So you had a 2v2 here, swapping in Devontae for Jalen McMillan, swapping in Ertz for Goddard. It's basically the differences there. Overall, in the top 150, you're getting Bucky Irving in every lineup. So the usual rule here, your showdown rules / just general DFS rules. When one guy comes up in all top 25 lineups here, just based off the projections, the median projections here, does mean that people get driven to play that guy more than they might even realize. So Bucky Irving right away, you strip him out of lineups, you're probably getting away from enough of the field meaningfully. So still like Bucky a lot, obviously, but he's really your player here. He's kind of your linchpin player where he's going to end up in every lineup because he projects well. Salary's not that high. Certainly fits the game theory too. People don't respect Washington's defense that much, especially in the run game. So for Bucky, he's not sneaking on anybody here. And if you fade him directly and you get it right, you probably find a way to win money. Player stacks in the top 25. 40% of these lineups have Allen, Shakir, and Kincaid. Another 24% have just Allen and Kincaid. Another 16% of Allen, Shakir, Kincaid, and Bills D. So just Bills heavy stuff. Going to be the chalky approach today. Saquon and Goddard being paired together 25% of the time is going to come up a little more naturally than I would think as well. So that's one maybe to watch out for in lineups. Allen brought back with McLaughlin, with Shakir, Kincaid coming up in 8%. That doesn't matter that much. A lot of Bills stuff. A lot of Bills and Bucks onslaughts without the QB. Right away, I would say just kind of first look here without running the Sims and all that. Put a Buck stack with Baker. Seems to be the approach. Josh Allen's coming up so much. Spend up a little bit somewhere else then. But you're getting a lot of Bucks naturally. You're getting Josh Allen a lot. So just flip it and play Baker. Seems to be the obvious approach right now. Let's pull in my stack data. We'll run a sim as well. Stack boost, not really stack data. Let's do 2 uniques per player or per lineup. 250. 2 unique lineups, rather, be a better way to say that. How many players? 3 players versus defense seems about right. Let's put the variance on. What we're going to do right now is build 250 lineups using ETR's data, and we're going to sim those out via ETR. We'll run a stochastic sim after that, and then you'll know the final takes, etc. All right, ETR data 2. Josh Allen, number 1 for them, 26.3 fantasy points. Jayden Daniels, number 2, 23.2 fantasy points. Jalen Hurts, number 3, so 3 QBs up top here. He's 22.2 fantasy points for ETR data. Mike Evans, number 4, 20.8. Saquon rounded up, 20.8. And Bucky behind Saquon here by a little bit, but are still going to get a lot of Bucky, obviously, as we just saw. Top owned guys, while the optimizer is running. Wait, did that say? Hold on. Okay, 60% Bucky Irving. I thought it said 80%, which would be perhaps too much Bucky Irving. 60% Bucky Irving projected today by ETR. 38% for Khalil Shakir. 38% for Saquon. Guys, it's a lot of Khalil Shakir. I think he's priced pretty reasonably, but certainly ways that pass game can move away from him. Ertz at 35.1. Again, I get it. He does sometimes disappear. Do you think that he reading into his contract, getting fed touchdowns and catches, maybe not the wisest move in the world, but he is functionally the wide receiver too for Washington. So I get it. Tucker Kraft, 35%. Jalen McMillan, 34%. That's a lot. McLaurin at 31%. Don't mind that. All right, these lines are built. Let's sim them out. It's the best tournament to put them into. Let's put them in the flea flicker because that'll be the most entries. So let's go that. Javonte, 10.5 rushing yards. Feel like Peyton might give him some carries to the vet in playoff mode. I don't think they are going to give him a ton more because of the fact like they've been needing to win games the last few weeks and they've shifted him down. Possible, certainly, that they could go the other way and like try to use him again, I guess. So I don't want to say it's like locked in. Yeah, Beatty being or Batty, however you pronounce the last name, getting activated as well. I wouldn't trust McLaughlin. 10.5 isn't a lot, so you can take the bet, but I really would have a hard time trusting him because I think when you move away from a guy for multiple weeks heading into the playoffs, you're kind of portending what you're looking for because basically, like, if you're trying to get into the playoffs, all your games are playoff games from that point on in the regular season. And I'm sure Sean Payton knows that and treated it accordingly. And when you see Javonte coming down in that time period, I wouldn't feel the most confident, but 10.5, sure. All right, top lineup right now. You got Jalen Hurts, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, Troy Franklin, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, Bills D. Top lineup makes a lot of sense. Leverage off Saquon with Hurts overstack. Yeah, I don't know that Philadelphia puts up that many points against Green Bay. I get that. But yeah, look, that's sort of the play. Is like, people are going to play Saquon a lot. You play the pass game, fade Saquon, or you add the pass game on top of Saquon. That's one approach. Baker, McLaughlin. I also like the Packers defense to get him out. I know they've gotten their ass kicked a few times this year, but I still tend to think they're better. They've gotten their ass kicked by Minnesota, Detroit to a lesser extent. I'm a little worried about Philadelphia. I mean, I've said it before. I think Green Bay could pull the upset here. I know Leeds, Philadelphia guys rooting for the boys. That said, like I think there's a shot they could lose this game just because Green Bay's defense is good enough. To me, the game kind of feels like a different version of the Houston Chargers game yesterday, where I played a lot of Texans in tournaments yesterday because I was like, nobody thinks the Texans are going to win. Like they're going to play Nico, they're going to play Joe Mixon, but they're not playing like the stack. The CJ Stroud stack, I believe, is what ended up winning yesterday. So I think that's how I feel about Green Bay a little bit, is like I think they can pull off the upset. I think too that that's one way to certainly change your lineups around a little bit. But it is what it is. But love being banged up certainly doesn't help. This lineup though: Baker, McLaughlin, Barkley, Evans, McMillan, Shepard. So a quadruple stack, including the RB with Baker here. Dalton Kincaid, Bucky Irving, and Broncos D. Number 3, a Jayden lineup. We got Jayden, Barkley, Eckler, who we'll worry about a little bit at 26% owned, but I get it. McLaurin, Mike Evans, Sterling Shepard, Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, and Bills. So you're getting both your cheap tight ends in here. Really, Kincaid, Goddard, and Ertz going to be in like every lineup here. I mean, who would you play if you're not playing those guys? I feel like Otten's going to come up. Otten, you would get leverage on Evans. You could get some theoretical leverage on Bucky. Shepard's going to come up a lot for ETR people. As you can see here, he's in so many lineups. I wonder if Otten at tight end wins you the slate today, because this is so much Kincaid, Goddard, Kincaid, Ertz, Goddard, Ertz. Like you're getting Kincaid, Kraft. You're just not getting Otten amidst all these guys, and he's had a tangible ceiling. McMillan certainly run hot, but that's interesting to see here. Number 4 ROI lineup for ETR data on the solver here. You got Josh Allen, James Cook, Josh Jacobs. You also get Khalil Shakir, Mike Evans, Sterling Shepard. You get Dalton Kincaid, Zach Ertz, and you get Packers D in this lineup right now. Number 4 ROI. Your number 5 is another Baker. Baker Mayfield, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan, Olamide Zaccheaus, OZ. That's what they're calling him on the team. Not Oz, which Cliff Kingsbury had to learn. He was calling him Oz all year. Dallas Goedert, Diami Brown, Bills D. So you're getting 2 Commanders as bringbacks on a Buck stack. You're only taking the Bills D from the first game. You're only taking a couple parts from Green Bay, Philadelphia. That's an interesting approach. Look, I really do think out of all the games in the slate, and I'm biased, whatever. The Bucks and Bucky going against Commanders, to me, like highest chance I think of putting up 55 plus, I would think, on the slate would be my guess. Other QB lineups here. So you can find some Bo Nix or something. Here's a Bo Nix lineup. Bo Nix with Saquon, Bucky Irving, Cortland Sutton, AJ Brown, Sterling Shepard. I got to say, Sterling Shepard is coming in all these top ETR lineups. He like has lost opportunity hugely to McMillan. And obviously not that they were ever the same play, but like at one point they were kind of similar DFS play. Now it's like a chasm. I'm not buying Shepard at this much ownership. Anyway, or this much rather, coming up this frequently in the top lineups. But Shepard, Kincaid, Zach Ertz, Broncos, this Bo Nix lineup. So you're getting a single stack with Nix along with Broncos defense, which feels like asking a lot. I think if Bo Nix hits, it's like one of those games kind of like the week 17 game, not week 17. The one they had versus the Chargers, where it's like you get kind of weird Marvin Mims touchdowns out of the situation. You get maybe Sutton getting enough targets to make a lineup, but I don't think you hit with that defense. I don't think Broncos D is your way to win this one. I guess they could shut down Josh Allen theoretically. That's a lot. All right. We're missing one more QB that we have not seen any of, right? We've not seen a single Jordan Love. Like not even close on Jordan Love, which I get. Jacobs versus a power defense in Philadelphia, strong defense. That makes sense. You got to get like one shot at Jordan Love here. Here's one. I mean, we had to scroll down so far. And it's a more concentrated Green Bay offense. So I think Jordan Love's worth some shot. 5% owned Jordan Love this week. He's probably your CJ Stroud. Like nobody's going to play him. Jordan Love, Saquon Barkley, Bucky Irving, Jayden Reed, Romeo Doubs, AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, Diami Brown Commanders. I don't love game stacking Green Bay, Philadelphia. Like I don't know that game goes nuts in the way that you're getting projected here. Green Bay has gotten strafed a few times defensively, and it does push Jordan Love to more passing production. So I guess I get the logic here in the sim. But the Diami Brown part, I also like don't love. Commanders D, I don't love. Like if you're going to play no Commanders, really, I play Bucks D over that. Not that I want to go Bucks D against Jayden, but Jordan Love, anyway, I think it's worth just running Jordan Love, locking him in, seeing what some lineups look like, because he's just not being played, like, at all. And that means he's also not a good projection play, but on a 3-game slate, it doesn't matter. He can hit enough. His price tag could work enough. One of his Packers receivers could hit, or God forbid, 2 hit. Then you probably get Jordan Love making a winning lineup. So that just seems a little bit odd to get so little Jordan Love at all. Top ROI players according to ETR: Rachaad White, number 1, Bills D, number 2. Troy Franklin, number 3, 97% ROI. Nice to see that, but very low on play. Sterling Shepard at 93% ROI, despite being 35% of these lineups that we just saw. So it's a lot of Shepard. ETR is planting a flag from at 3,300. I would say your leverage on Shepard and ETR people is going to be Troy Franklin at 3,100, given how much he's coming up as well with a positive ROI. These are your value guys, I guess. Shepard, ETR really favoring Shepard, and Franklin as another value there. It's not too far behind. The injury stuff turned out to be nothing for Love. I don't know if it's nothing, but he practiced in full a good amount this week. People are so disenchanted with Love after he failed versus Vikings, I guess. I mean, he failed versus Vikings the first time too, and then dropped back a bunch and had a good game out of it. So I don't know. I just don't think that Love. I think people are worried about the injury more than they probably should be. It's still a game here. The spread for Green Bay is not good. 20.3 implied points for Green Bay is one of their lower totals of the year. It's only 5-point dogs, though. Philadelphia's line has come down, I think, a point throughout the week. So I don't think it's crazy to bet Green Bay here, but, or at least bet on them for DFS. I mean, honestly, I'd bet the money line too. All right, let's go and sim some lineups. Let's see what Stochastic has on their front. Obviously, different data set than ETRs. So you got to read on one of the major sites out there people build a lot of items from. You're now going to read on another one coming up, Stochastic. And of course, guys, we get value of this content. We got 220 of you guys watching live here. It's Sunday. It's wildcard weekend. I could call off the dogs too, like every other content provider out there for the most part does when the regular season ends. But no, I don't do it, guys. I show up and do the work. So please show some love. Hit that like button. Subscribe down below. Of course, the videos here continue on at Splash Play. There's going to keep being DFS slates. So last year I ran through the Super Bowl. This year it's going to be the same thing. My betting column at Fantasy Points also is going to run the entire rest of the year. So the rest of the season. So we got a lot coming up here, guys. So please do hit that like button, subscribe. It goes a long way for me. Just one guy. I mean, one-man gang, as our guy Steven Leibovitz has pointed out, trying to run 2 channels here, and I will show up and do my work as always I can, as best I can. And for you guys, show up and do your work. Hit the like button and subscribe. Your work's easier, I think, then. You just got to show up and plant your butt down. You could be eating bagels right now. You could be jerking off. Refreshing to hear you without Engelman's dumbass. You're not going to get me on that one. Josh is one of my boys. I love Josh. That's the push-pull. I know he's got his detractors, but he's confident what he talks about for a reason. And thank you for Lee. Dude kills it. Hit that like, subscribe. Thank you for that. Thanks for staying hard. Yes, I stay turgid for all you guys. Yeah, do your work, idiots. Thank you, Lunchable. Call people idiots. Always a good way to win them on your side. How to win friends and influence people. It's a 1-page book. Call them idiots. Multi-sport thought leadership in the space, and I'm jerking off too. Thank you for that. If you don't like Josh, it's likely you're the problem. There you go. Talk about a lineup that fades the first game entirely. I think we saw one. It's pretty easy not to play the first game. I think we saw some of the top ROI lineups are actively doing that. I would still say you're probably going to play Bills defense a good amount in your lineup. So like you could fade the game and play Bills D. I mean, again, just don't play any Bills. The pass catchers are pretty duped up. Sterling, good price tag on Shakir. Like as I mentioned, like 5,300 for him is a pretty good price tag, but not really one where you need to go to. So, hey, I appreciate it. And this is just like give me compliments. Thank you. The funniest guy in DFS. I appreciate that. There's funny ones. If you're not jerking off, why are you here? Thank you, Steven. Somebody do 150 Josh Allen lineups. I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't. You're entitled. You can do whatever you want with your money. Follow your heart. But that's crazy. It's crazy. There's so many ways that they don't have to push Josh Allen to the limit. Again, it's a pretty huge spread going against Denver here. The games where like Josh Allen really pushes to the limit, runs more is when they keep it competitive. So if you're going to play a lot of Josh Allen, you better be running it back with some Denver, I think. Your top ROI players right now. Number 1, Josh Allen, Bucky Irving, James Cook, Dontavian Wicks, Khalil Shakir, Jalen McMillan, Dalton Kincaid, Terry McLaurin, Packers. So right away, a Buffalo triple stack, your number 1 ROI lineup on Stochastic. So look, Josh Allen, for what it's worth, looks like 4 out of the top 5 lineups are Josh Allen lineups. I just don't think you're getting that sneaky there is what I'll say. Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, James Cook, Mike Evans, Devontae Smith, Jalen McMillan, Dallas Goedert, Tucker Kraft, Bucks D. Number 3. So Buckley, we're getting 1 Baker here. We're going to get a lot more Josh Allen besides that up top. Josh Allen, Bucky Irving, James Cook, Cortland Sutton, Khalil Shakir, Jalen McMillan, Dalton Kincaid, Tucker Kraft, Bucks D. I got to say, this Dalton Kincaid being everywhere, I don't know that people are going to want to play Dalton Kincaid this much, and they're certainly going to carry the priors of being awful. Like, did he do anything in DFS this year? Did he make one winning tournament lineup? I really find it hard to believe he did. Even a showdown would have been hard for him. And I like Kincaid. I was really a big fan of him his rookie year, but I don't know that people are going to want to play Kincaid this much. Josh Allen, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, Devontae Smith, Khalil Shakir, McMillan, Kincaid, Kraft, Bucks. Josh Allen again at number 4, right? And this is number 5. Josh Allen at number 5 with Bucky Irving, James Cook, Mike Evans, Khalil Shakir, Wicks, Kincaid, Kraft, Packers. You run out that Shakir, Kincaid stack, you are just going to get duped to death, would be my guess. Let's look at some top ROIs. We'll look at the other QBs as well. Your number 1 ROI guy. Fucking Dalton Kincaid. 0.2% ROI here. Your only positive ROI player in the slate. He's coming up in so many lineups. So Kincaid feels like the play here. Sterling Shepard, ETR loves. Kincaid, Stochastic loves. Jalen McMillan, a negative 0.6% ROI is your number 2 guy. So even though it's negative, he is still technically a top ROI guy. Sterling Shepard at number 3, negative 2%. Tucker Kraft, negative 2.2. Bucky Irving, negative 2.5. And Khalil Shakir, negative 4.5. Man, I'll tell you, what is Otten's price tag? Otten is 4,100. You get direct leverage on Kincaid, and you're going to get a 13% owned Cade Otton. I know Cade Otton, wasn't good for a while, but that's so much Kincaid, man. Fade Kincaid's been the narrative for the year. It has been. I mean, it wasn't based on best ball ADPs. And don't tell Liam Murphy that either. I don't think he wants to hear it. I don't think he agrees. QB plus 1 stacks, nobody a positive ROI. QB plus 2 stacks, nobody a positive ROI, but Jayden the highest, Josh Allen second highest. QB plus 3 stacks, Baker Mayfield is a positive ROI at 5%. Jayden Daniels number 2 with negative 5%. Josh Allen number 3 with negative 9%. Top exposures or overall highest exposures in the top 150 lineups by Stochastic. You got Bucky Irving in 92% of lineups. So they're with me here on Bucky not being a guy to fade. I strongly believe Bucky's the play here. As I mentioned, there are ways to not play Bucky. That would be certainly looking a little bit more at your Rachaad White. But again, I think it's not an often outcome that hits. 90% exposure feels about right for me too here. Jalen McMillan, 62% exposure, 29% for the field. And that said, this is enough ownership where you could just go, you know what? I'm going to play 50% Bucky Irving, get less in the field. I don't think that's a crazy thing either, but he is just the best play in the slate. I've been having Bucky in the thumbnail a lot lately, and I'm having him again because I like to change the guys in the thumbnails, but he just keeps being the most important player on slates, and I think he's the most important player again. 7K is too cheap for him. Knocks out guaranteed 2 TDs for sure. McMillan, 62% ownership compared to 29% for the field. Kincaid, 61% ownership compared to 28% for the field. Shakir, 55% in the top 150. I have Shakir in him, 33% for the field. Saquon Barkley, 45 compared to 41. So a little bit in favor of him, but not a big stand. And Dallas Goedert, 39% compared to the field's 24. So the big uncomfortable stands, Kincaid, McMillan, Bucky. It's a lot of those guys. Your highest leverage plays in the top 150, you're getting 33% more of Jalen McMillan, 32% more of Dalton Kincaid, 30% more of Bucky Irving, 21% more of Khalil Shakir, 18% more of Bucks D. Jaden's thrown a few more picks that I'd like to see this year, but he doesn't really make colossal mistakes like that. Offensive line is also mostly healthy at this point. I don't think you want to go Bucks D against Jayden personally, but I am, of course, the Jayden slappy. Dallas Goedert, 14% positive leverage on him, and you're getting some Baker leverage as well, 10%. Your most negative leverage guys, you're getting more Baker, but less Mike Evans. Negative 18% leverage on Mike Evans, only 17% in Stochastic's top 150 compared to the field's 34% ownership. Getting less McLaurin as well, 17% compared to the field's 30. Less Jayden, boo, 13% exposure compared to the field's 25. I'll tell you who's going to ignore the sim on that one. This guy right here. Jaleel McLaughlin, 3% exposure compared to the field's 12. So they are also fading the Denver, a running back conundrum. Brian Robinson, 2% compared to the field's 12. Certainly a case to be made to move away from with Eckler coming back in. That said, they're still worth that. And Josh Jacobs, 22% exposure compared to the field's 31. So still a good amount of Josh Jacobs. If you are playing that Green Bay upset, even if you're just trying to get Saquon leverage, Jacobs is your way to do it. So I support that. Let's look at Spags slap me that makes Daddy happy. Thank you for that. Who's Daddy? Who's Daddy am I making happy? Let's look at different QBs. And we're going to start with our sweet boy, Jayden. We saw a lot of Josh Allen. We'll skip over that for now. If you have any requests to see in a lineup, drop it in chat, and I'll look it up in a moment here because we've got about 20 minutes left. So we're making good time when I only have to cover 3 games compared to when I have to do 15 usually. Think there's going to be steam on Packers upset? I don't think so. Too much ownership for Saquon, too much ownership for A.J. Brown. The projections work too well just to play into the pro Eagles narrative that I think you're not getting a lot of Packers stuff, but, follow your heart. Jayden Daniels, Saquon Barkley, James Cook, Terry McLaurin, Khalil Shakir, Dontavian Wicks, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, Commanders D is your number 1 Jayden lineup. Number 2 is Jayden, Bucky, Austin Eckler, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Jalen McMillan, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, and Eagles D. So a lot of Goddard and Ertz in these Jayden lineups. Number 3 is Jayden, Saquon, Eckler, A.J. Brown, McLaurin, Shakir, Tucker Kraft, Diami Brown, Commanders. I don't hate these lineups. I don't love them. I know why that one's fading Bucky too. I'd probably find a better lineup. I think if I were going to play one, this one would be it. Guess I'm glad you're not getting Dalton Kincaid. These lineups should be a little bit better. I don't do FanDuel. I only do the stuff I gamble on. Sorry, Chris. I don't care. I haven't prepped it. It's not happening, but I appreciate you asking. But yeah, I'm not a FanDuel guy. Jayden here. Did him. Let's do Bo Nix. Another low-end guy. What do I think about Baker, Irving, McMillan, Evans? You just give me your whole lineup. I think stacking the lineup is okay. I don't know if I love all those particular players you're naming there, but certainly game stacking here. I expect the game to shoot out. So yeah, game stacking it is fine. Heard a lot of content about the Packers possibly upsetting. I guess it's not matriculating in the ownership for the field would be the main thing I'm saying here. Bo Nix, Saquon Barkley, Bucky Irving, Cortland Sutton, Romeo Doubs, Jalen McMillan, Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, and Bucks. This fucking Goddard Kincaid morass at tight end coming in everywhere. Bo Nix, Saquon, Bucky Irving, Cortland Sutton, Jalen McMillan, Marvin Mims, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, Bucks. Do we forget? I know the projections, obviously they're working off a larger sample size. Dallas Goedert has done fucking nothing this year besides like unless everybody's out, he just doesn't do anything. Like the one game he did anything was that Saints game where he went nuts. And it was when they had no receivers left. Getting this much Goddard, it's just like, there's no guarantee he gives you any points, and you have so many tight ends to play. I'm not sold on Goddard. Bo Nix, number 3 lineup, Bo Nix with Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, Cortland Sutton, Devontae Smith, Dontavian Wicks, Dallas Goedert, Jalen McMillan, Bucks. Wish I'd love these times to sing a little bit more for me, but they're not really. Just getting a lot. I think it's really the chalk tight ends. Like that's bothering me the most that they just come up in everywhere. I'm going to try. I mean, my lineups that I run today will probably mostly through ETR. I'll grab a stochastic sim and handpick some lineups from there as well. But like, I just don't love that I'm getting Goddard and Ertz and Kincaid and Goddard just over and over and over again. It's like so much. All right. Got Bo Nix, Jordan Love, another low-owned QB here. It's not going to be played enough. Just given that's a fucking 3-game slate. Let's see. Josh Engelman here, who is a stochastic chat regular. Look, you're great, and the man version of you is great as well. One of my best friends in the space. So if you come here bashing Josh, you're not going to get anything from me on that. Frank saying I'm an Eagles fan. The Packers gave us hell the first game of the season. Don't sleep on them. Obviously, oblivious Eagles defense has gotten better throughout the year. I think it's obvious it's gotten better throughout the year. And I agree, Packers should compete. I think it's really that I agree the Eagles defense has gotten better. I just think the Packers is really more about, number one, I think they can win it because I think they're going to make it really hard on Saquon being in the backfield a lot. Number two is that nobody's playing him. I think that's really the main thing here. So when you have it with like some sort of a game theory logic in addition to like a sort of credible reason why you believe the team might pull off an upset or at least make it competitive enough that they could look good at DFS lineup like they won the game, I think that there's opportunity for the Packers. But again, Jordan Love here, 5% owned on a 3-game slate, batshit. Jordan Love, Bucky Irving, James Cook, Khalil Shakir, Jayden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Tucker Kraft, A.J. Brown, Bucks. So you're getting a Packers triple. You got Jordan Love at number 2. Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs, Khalil Shakir, Tucker Kraft, Dontavian Wicks, and Bucks D. At number 3, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jayden Reed, Dalton Kincaid, Tucker Kraft, and Bucks D. I don't know that you need to overstack the Packers. I'm saying play Packers, but I don't think playing Packers means just play every fucking one possible. I think it's how I feel about it. But that said, I think if you get Love, I'm surprised you're not getting Wicks a little bit more in here. Jayden Reed, a matchup that I'm not too worried about here. You're not talking about a man-dominant Eagles defense, which Jayden Reed does get kind of shut down by generally this year. No issue with Reed, really, but like you get some Wicks, get some Dobbs. I think love stacks are worth it, especially if you're 150 maxing. Like you have to put in a little bit, but it's just there shouldn't be a 5% owned QB who has a tangible upside on a slate. So I'll just say that Jordan Love is too low owned. Whether he gets killed or not doesn't matter. Jalen Hurts here. Am I the Geppetto of DFS? Why does that people keep asking for different puppets? People want the puppets. I don't know what to tell you. I think people enjoy my puppeteering. It's funny too, because like it's not like I could throw my voice or anything. I can't do ventriloquism. People enjoy me having my hand up the fake version of other creators' lives, others' butts. Nobody ever put their hand in me. Oh, there we go. I'm sorry. Sorry, Angle Woman. I'm sure you would love that. Jalen Hurts, your number one ROI lineup for him. Hurts, Barkley together. Austin Eckler, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen McMillan, Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, Bucks D. You know what would have been funny, but also the saddest thing possible is if I made a Pete puppet when he couldn't do this. When he stopped getting paid by Football Outsiders and couldn't keep doing the show. If I just had like Pete here every day. AI Pete, girl Pete was sad enough. Puppet Pete would have been next level. And also would have seemed like I was like fucking attacking him, like we were in a rap beef. Number 2, Jalen Hurts, Bucky Irving, James Cook, A.J. Brown, Khalil Shakir, Jalen McMillan, Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, Bucks D. Okay. Number 3, Jalen Hurts. I would really try to separate my Saquon out from my Jalen Hurts teams. Like you can put Saquon in for sure. If the passing offense does well, Saquon has a higher chance of scoring touchdowns. But like the reason you play Jalen Hurts, I think, is to just try to get leverage on Saquon. So I'm a little bit confused by getting Hurts with Saquon in 2 of the top 3 ROI lineups. Hurts, Saquon, Bucky, A.J. Brown, Romeo Dobbs, Sterling Shepard, Kincaid, Goddard, Bucks D. Yeah, the Hurts lineups are okay. The Josh Allen ones do look the best, unfortunately, but they're going to be so chalky. Did we look at every QB? Looked at Nix, looked at Allen already, looked at Love, looked at Hurts. We didn't look at Baker. Look at Baker. Much as I may love Jayden, Baker, an equally credible play. Some could say, honestly, a more credible play, given the fact that they're expected to win here. Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, James Cook, Mike Evans, Devontae Smith, Jalen McMillan, Dallas Goedert, Tucker Kraft, and Bucks. Number 2, Baker Mayfield, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, Jayden Reed, Jalen McMillan, Dalton Kincaid, Sterling Shepard, and Packers. And number 3, Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, James Cook, Mike Evans, Romeo Dobbs, Jalen McMillan, Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, and Bucks. Just don't play the 2 fucking same tight ends. That's really how I feel about the slate. I think it's just too obvious. You're getting this Goddard, Kincaid, Kraft. Like, it's just to morass these guys. Ertz to a lesser extent. And granted, like, one of them's going to hit, but, like, I don't think it's a guarantee 2 of them hit. And I do think you play, I mean, getting a little bit too much Sterling Shepard in the ETR lineups, but I get why you're getting there. At least you're not just jamming 2 tight ends in every single one. It's a lot of these same 2 tight ends over and over again. Let's see. What is this? What bit are we doing here? or is this a chat from 2011? I don't know. Not that I don't trust Hurts, just that the Eagles offense is ran through. I mean, look, you're a pessimistic Eagles fan. I think it's totally natural. And people are scared that AI is going to take over the world, and all girl Pete AI wanted to do is fuck. She did. She was very horny. She's very horny for the chat, for everybody in general. That's the slate, guys. Let's do a hand build, I guess, because we got 10 minutes left. Might as well. People like the hand build. I haven't done them in a while. All right, so let's go 35% to first. Large contest. Let's zoom out a little bit. And if you have any player requests for in a lineup that isn't a fake Tim Tebow one, please feel free to drop in the chat. I'll hop back and take one last look. Okay, we know what I'm putting in here. Let's see what we're gonna get. Jayden Daniels team. Of course, you're playing Jayden. You're gonna go McLaurin. How could he not? How could he not go to that sweet boy Terry who bombed so terribly in the fantasy playoffs and made everybody hate him? How could you not? Good concept for members is Naked Girl Pete. I know you did ask for that before. What is the best tournament that can be joined under $100 on DK? I don't know. Probably, I mean, based on DFS principles, the mini max. Put in 75 entries and get all the EV possible you can out of having 150. Would be my guess. Besides that, the spy, if you want to do single entry, I also, you should be playing for entertainment at this point where DFS is. Playing the Millie Maker, putting in 4 entries, I think is also not an unreasonable sweat to have. You can lose that $100. All right. Let's build this line. I mean, I'm building it right now. It would be Jayden for me. But obviously I am biased, but I think he's going to win the game. Jayden Daniels with McLaurin. I don't know if I'm going to put in Ertz yet, so let's try to get away from that. Bucky, as I mentioned, hard to imagine fading him, I think, so I'm just go that way now. A lot of Josh Allen in lineups, less James Cook. I think I want to try that here. Cook. I like lotteries. So I don't know. It just depends what you want to play. Like, it's all personal choice. But like really the most EV and the thing that, again, like Osmo said to me before when I first started in DFS is like, you really want to be able to max out the tournaments you're in no matter what level they are, because you're really at a disadvantage putting a handful of lineups in. But it just comes down to what you're playing for. If you're playing for entertainment, like just put lineups in whatever you think is fun. Like I put lineups in the big tournaments every day. And like, it's like, I'm doing that because that's my style of play. And I'll put in a 20 max and have a more balanced exposure build. So that's up to you. But you know, like, again, really, I would encourage in DFS, like if you're playing to win money every day, it's not that time in the sport. If you're playing for entertainment, just play whatever, but try to get as many entries in as possible for whatever bankroll you're going to put in a given night. Okay, so we got Bucky, we got Cook here trying to get some Buffalo leverage. I mean, you could also just play the Denver side of the equation too to get that leverage, but we'll try to play the outcome here that's more likely here is Buffalo actually winning a game. Receivers here. Do I want to do another Commander receiver? Probably not. Do I want to do Mike Evans? I think I do. I'm going to go Mike Evans here. Feels pretty chalky. 3,600 left per lineup. Spot left is not a lot. Let's see what we can do because these are all the players I like the most on the slate besides James Cook. Spy, Fair Catch, and Huddle. There you go. Yeah, look, single entry for sure. But I like getting in more than one entry. So, you know, that's the push-pull of it all. I do like Mims. I do like Mims as just a tournament shot, given how much ownership is going to go Shakir's way. 5,100 for Mims is so much. Oh, God, you got to really... I thought he'd be like 4K. I did not know he's 5,100. All right, no Mims. We need some cheap bitches in here. Can today be a day Troy Franklin catches a touchdown? Is it possible? How many snaps did Troy Franklin play in week 18? Troy Franklin played 30 snaps. No, 26 snaps. That's not a bad count. All right. I think we're just going to play Zach Ertz first. Let's do that. So we got our double stack now with Jayden. 3,300 left per spot. I think we have to play either Shepard or Troy Franklin at this point. And maybe both, which is not good. All right, Troy, come on down. Can you win money, Troy? Probably not. Defenses. Bills D at 3,500. Can we make that work? So I'm trying to zoom out a little bit more. All right. Oh, this is tough. Let's see. All right. Bills D. So Troy Franklin touchdown doesn't mean they didn't kick Bo Nix's ass. And then we got 3,500 left. Troy Franklin caught multiple touchdowns this year. Did you miss the season? He didn't have great DFS. You want to say it'll be a cold day in hell when he makes a winning DFS lineup and scores enough to do it? Sure, but he scored touchdowns, so I don't agree with that. We got Dotson here, his big Week 18 spike. Maybe he could do it again with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith back in. Diami Brown here, who did come up a good amount. I don't have the strongest feel for him. Sumo Lamidi Zakia is too expensive, yeah. All right, let's see what happens with the triple stack. Diami Brown, come on down. So the team is Bucky Irving, Jayden at QB, obviously, James Cook, Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans, Troy Franklin, who I admit is not a good play, but he comes up a little bit. Zach Ertz, Diami Brown, Bills D. I don't think we could fit Wicks in here. Well, let's see. All right, let's take Franklin out. I think you'd have to come off Evans, I think. All right, so let's come off Evans. Let's do that. We'll go down McMillan, I think a perfectly credible play as well. McMillan will save some money on Evans. Evans the better play, but Lattimore shuts him down. Will be the thesis of this one. Eckler in the triple stack would not be bad. All right. I think Eckler is it. I mean, Keon Coleman here too. I wouldn't mind. Let's see what happens with Eckler. All right, so the team here, Jayden, Bucky, Cook, McLaurin, McMillan, Wicks, Ertz, Eckler, Bills. So we're playing that Washington shootout with Tampa Bay. We're not playing. Oh, there we go. 71% ROI. Done. Ha ha ha. A little swappy there. Good call on Wix by Tango Hotel. And that's our team. So that's the slate, guys. Clean hour here. We did it. I appreciate all you guys watching. Almost 300 people on the playoff weekend. Shouts to all you guys hanging out. If you're brand new to the channel, please hit the like button. Please subscribe down below. It goes a long way for me here. There's one guy running an NFL channel, an NBA channel, doing the best I can to show you what competent gambling and DFS is. And of course, I keep it real to you guys as much as I can here every single day. And that's the goal, of course, of Splash Play. So please subscribe, hit the like button. New videos here. Doesn't matter if the season's ending, guys. Still DFS slates. Still best ball to prepare for, including the big board coming out soon. So I will be here grinding as I always am here, doing this thing, doing the woo. You can tell. Look at the couch. Look at this booty. The couch. Check out our sponsors. Splash on promo code Splash Underdog. There we go. That's the way to not say that and be dyslexic. $1,000 in bonus cash for Underdog. Promo code Splash right now. Of course, great terms. You know the deal with Underdog. Stochastic 15% off. Link in the description too. Does support the show directly, so please do that. You get money off in perpetuity. I get money. We all win here, and we take money away from Stochastic. That's the big win. Take that, corporations who support us. Unabated, $30 off, promo code Splash as well. Unabated.com/NBA. Solver, link in the description too. And shout out to all these fine paying members who've joined down below. I have to add 3 more names on here, but you too can support the show. Join down below for $4.99. You get a VIP Discord. You get my data every week. You get a premium video I do on Fridays, going game by game, looking through all my advanced analytics from Sports Info Solutions and a bunch of places. So check it out. And gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time here. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. Check the chat one more time. Anything else here? No. All right. I'll be back tomorrow with the showdown slate. So I'll see you guys then for the Vikings-Rams game in Arizona. So, oof. All right. I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy your days and West Coast people too, because I haven't said it in a while. Hope you guys are doing okay. Our friends and fucking family out there are having a tough time. So, just for all you guys out there, hope you're staying safe if you are dealing with the wildfire stuff and whatever the tragedies America's dealing with in a given week. But I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye.